Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the deputies for your contributions. I've listened carefully to everything that you said, and I want to acknowledge the more considered contributions that took account of the realities that we're putting forward. And as I said earlier, while I accept the sentiments and the motivations behind Deputy Tobin's bill, apologies, I must reiterate that the government simply cannot support it. Just to pick up on a couple of points, if I have time. Deputy O'Sullivan, I'm glad to hear that you support the Moore Street report and that the advisory group, as you know, is working to implement it. And the landowner is now looking at saving more existing buildings in the area, and we have a chance to progress that now in a way that we didn't before, and hopefully that will benefit all the street traders that you mentioned as well. And I'm glad to hear your encouraging words about the Hammerson's engagement now with the advisory group. I appreciate your support, and we will start with 14 and 17 as soon as we know what is agreed for the adjoining buildings. It is being maintained by the Office of Public Works, and funding shouldn't be a problem for 14 to 17, and Cabinet is aware of the developments and takes an interest and is very supportive of everything to do in or around the environs of Moore Street. Deputy O'Keefe, I note your comments on Boland's Mill and Clanwilliam House, and the new monuments bill actually that I hope to bring forward before the end of this year, will allow these buildings to be recorded as monuments, and my department is looking at what culture uses we might use and insert into the wider development for when you're talking about, for example, the Irish language. And I appreciate your assessment that the new plans are better and worth pursuing, and that you mentioned the word collaborative a few times, and that is the approach to take. I do agree that Hammerson's were slow to engage, but as you said, we need patience, and that they are now engaging, and that can only be a positive thing. And we can look at a professional survey of 10 to 25 at some point. So thank you very much for your contribution. Deputy O'Quailon isn't here, or nor is Deputy Adams. Deputy Brown, I appreciate your support, and I assure you that the state-owned 14 to 17 will be completed to the highest standard, and I'll also endeavour to visit the theatre in Enniscorthy, and thank you for the history lesson in relation to that. Deputy Haughey, you know that the terrace from 10 to 25 Moore Street is being looked at by the developers, and we know that the Moore Street report asked for line and form in relation to the terrace, so that would be retained. I was interested to hear about your grandfather as well, Sean Lamass, and the history of that. In relation to the traders, we know the primitive conditions that they deal with, and any solution has to include them. And like you, I've been unhappy about the delays in the progress of this, but hopefully we're now at the cusp of a solution. The Taoiseach does take a keen interest in this. That goes without saying, and you also mentioned the Irish Language Centre. That's something that I'm working on as well at the moment. So overall, I just want to say that the group is engaging positively with the new owners of the site surrounding the National Monument on Moore Street, and they have put forward radical changes to what was previously on offer in terms of architectural heritage, urban regeneration and the community benefit and social amenity. And they've also brought the commemoration of the events of 1916 to the centre of their revised plans. I also mentioned about employment and jobs that in the future for the North Inner City and the needs of the street traders who have been long neglected, that to be properly taken care of. But the Deputy's Bill would unfortunately make no contribution to any of these ideals, and it would instead divert and distract the stakeholders from focusing on securing a vision for the regeneration of the area that everyone could be happy with. So we need to support the Moore Street Advisory Group, Caherlick, in its work, and not detract from the positive headway that we'll be making. And we will not do so by advancing any legislation that puts a negative perspective on the real prospect that there is now going to be a happy outcome, I hope. And so for those reasons, and what I've said earlier, Caherlick, the Government believes that the bill is premature, and should not proceed while the Moore Street Advisory Group that represents all stakeholders, including Oireachtas members, has still to finalise its work. And for that reason, I cannot support the bill proceeding any further at this time.
Minister.